Hi, welcome back to the channel and my review for The Accountant from 2016. So finally getting around to this movie. It's been on my watch list for 10 years now, ever since it came out. But I decided to watch it because I found out recently we're actually getting a sequel to this movie. And it's kind of kicked my ass into gear to finally watching this before the sequel comes out next month. Getting into the plot for this one, this is following this accountant played by Ben Affleck called Christian Wolff. And whilst he has a regular guy type life, it's actually a bit of a cover because he also works for a underground criminal organisation, or a number of them. And the reason they can utilise his skills and he's so good at this is because he's grown up with autism. He's faced a number of challenges in his life, but he's also very astute with certain skills. He's very focused. He's extremely talented at maths. And this kind of makes him perfect for this job. And he basically gets caught up in this whole storyline with a robotics company who bring him in for an audit, and he ends up discovering a huge discrepancy of millions of dollars. And after thinking he's going to be able to sort it out and fix this company's problems, a group of people start to hunt him down. And he realises there's something more sinister going on beneath the surface of this. I have to say, I am actually a little bit torn about this film. On one hand, as an action movie, as 2 hours of solid entertainment, I think it's really good. Like, I'd happily throw this on any time and just have fun and be entertained by it, no problem. But the reason I'm frustrated by it is when I left the movie, I found myself asking a number of different questions that I didn't feel were clearly laid out and explained throughout the course of the film, especially towards the end with some of the wrap-ups of the storylines. And afterwards I thought, I just need to put a few of those things to rest in my mind, so I'll research it a bit. And the more questions I had, the more it raised. And I started to realise the whole thing is a little bit convoluted and messy and doesn't make a lot of sense. But as I say, if you're willing to switch your brain off and just accept the movie for what it is, I think you'll have a lot of fun with this one. The great thing about this mainly is, of course, the cast, being led by Ben Affleck, and I think at this time in his career, he was on a really strong roll. Basically through 2010 till here, where he had Argo, Gone Girl. He did Batman v Superman after The Accountant, so a number of really good roles where he felt very comfortable in the lead. And he's one of those actors that I've always just really been able to kind of connect with and get into his mindset of what his characters are thinking. And yeah, I just find something about him to be very watchable. And that's the same again here. He's playing this quite complex character who's struggling with certain problems, has certain skills. I think he just brings a lot of nuance and a lot of really nice elements to this role, which is what makes him such a talented actor in my opinion. But not just him as well. I think the supporting cast are great. I absolutely love Jon Bernthal in particular. And of course he rose to fame during the Walking Dead years. And I was absolutely obsessed with him as an actor. I thought he was so underrated. So it was great to see him get a pretty major role in this. And the thing about him that I think makes him so special is just that he has the ability to play these very charismatic, tough guy roles where he's genuinely always very intimidating, very strong-willed characters he tends to play that you always buy into. But when it comes to those more emotional moments, where you're really getting into the headspace of this character and he's not afraid to kind of, yeah, as I say, show a lot of emotion. I think he's just so good at that. He really does steal all the scenes that he's in. When it gets to some of the end and some of the various reveals and everything, I think he just really makes these scenes feel complete and whole and just does such a nice job with it. It's just a tightly paced, fast-moving, entertaining action movie. At the end of the day, it's got some great set pieces and action scenes that will keep people that are inclined to that kind of genre interested all the way through. But as I said, some of the issues with this film, and it really comes down to a number of the plot lines going on here. The main one in particular is the beginning of the film. So you get set up with all of Ben Affleck's character and kind of what he's about. And then you have this other storyline running concurrently with it where you've got J.K. Simmons, who plays the head of a treasury, and he's basically blackmailing one of his analysts to help him investigate the accountant. So like you find out that this accountant has been something that's like haunted him throughout the years, where he knows about him, he's really been trying to track him down, find out more about him. but he just can't get to the bottom of it, and he believes by bringing this woman in who's got all these skills, she'll be able to help him do this, and he's got all this dirt on her as well, so she's basically forced into a position where she's going to have to help him. And as the plot goes on, these kind of two things are running together, and you think that at the end they're all going to come to a great big head. They're going to discover who he is, and it's all going to kick off. But as I say, actually, I'm going to decide that there'll be spoilers from this point onwards, actually, because I need to get into the heart of the problem I have with this movie. So spoilers from here on out. But it gets to a certain point in the film where you realise that J.K. Simmons hasn't entirely been honest about the motivations of why he's looking into the accountant, and he actually has this kind of weird relationship with him where they're feeding each other information, and he's kind of got a bit of a past and a history with him, and it's kind of told through all this great big scene of exposition, and it feels very unnatural to me. And basically after that particular scene, that whole plot line just kind of dies out. It makes the whole thing feel like it had a completely pointless existence being there. And looking back on it in hindsight, it only really served as a way of showing us, the audience, more backstory behind the accountant, kind of getting to know more about him, which is fine as it's playing out, but because it has no resolution at the end, it feels like quite a hollow plot line and just ends up making the whole film feel convoluted to me. And there was a number of plot elements in there like this. This was the most egregious of them, but there's a number of elements like this. Like there's a whole thing about looking into the whole morality of Ben Affleck's character, where he works for criminal organisations, but there's certain things he doesn't abide and everything. And again, it's done in such a vague way that you never really get to the bottom of it. You don't fully know where he stands on certain moral and ethical questions, even as this criminal that we're kind of following as our main protagonist. So I could go on all day about the million different plot holes. As I said, when I started reading about this film, every problem I had connected the story to another issue that I had, and this was just ongoing and never ending. So the movie is quite frustrating in a way. And I do understand that, with some movies you do have to watch them more than once in order to kind of fully take in all the details, understand everything. I do get that, but I feel a movie like The Accountant, like a fun action movie, it should be one of those where you watch it once and for the most part you're able to fully grasp what was going on, whereas a lot of the problems in this film just feel like messy storytelling to me, and that did kind of hurt the experience a little bit overall. But as I said, I did still really enjoy the film, that despite all the convoluted storytelling, from scene to scene, the movie is well directed and does play out where you're always going to be engaged in everything that's going on. I do think there are a few reveals as well towards the end, which are quite nice revelations for each of the characters and how it ties their storylines up. I did quite enjoy a lot of that stuff as well, so I don't want to completely crap on the movie, because as I say, I did really still enjoy it. The only other thing as well that I saw online that people were kind of mixed about was this idea of, this kind of trend of movies treating autism like a superpower. And again, this has been done to death, but I actually don't really have a problem with it. And I think it's because it's nice to see a depiction of a character who struggles with normal everyday things, as a lot of people with autism do. Like, it kind of spends a lot of time focusing on the issues he had with social interactions with his life and his family, and why this kind of broke down certain relationships within the family because they got too difficult to deal with. And I think a lot of people who suffer with that, I'm sure, will be able to relate to the character in that way. But at the same time as well, they show that, whilst parts of your life are going to be tough and a real uphill battle, there's other things that you are going to be really skilled at, and you're going to be able to really focus your efforts on, and will make you special in your own way as well. And I think the movie did a really nice nuanced job of kind of demonstrating that, and it never felt silly to me. It never felt, the performance was just subtle and well done, so it never came across as too contrived in them really kind of over-egging the fact that he's obsessed with finishing tasks and being great at maths and all of this. They never overdid it, which is what I was afraid of going into it. But I think the movie does a really nice job, so I have to disagree with a lot of people that have given criticism to that aspect of the story. But anyway, guys, that's pretty much all my thoughts for you on The Accountant. I hope you like listening to my review of the film. I'm going to give this one, I think, a 3.5 out of 5 because, as I say, despite the problems, it's still a very enjoyable action film, worth watching, and I will definitely go out to the cinema next month to see the sequel. So please, if you have seen The Accountant, let me know down in the comments what you think of the film. Leave all your thoughts there for me. I really do appreciate you guys watching my reviews as always, and also if you are enjoying my content, please consider subscribing to the channel as well. So anyway, thanks so much for watching, do take care, and I'll see you next time.